Ever wonder what everyone's doing on their phones? They're banking with Bank of America. They're saving, planning, and budgeting all before dessert.
Digital tools so impressive, you just can't stop banking. What would you like the power to do?
So it is so great to be here, and I appreciate the Chamber putting this together because the Motor City is so important to everybody here. You wouldn't be here on this snowy day to hear what's going on. So without further ado, let's start with Wayne County Executive Warren Evans. We need another round of applause here.
Thank you.
So I would call this Wayne's World, maybe Wayne County's World. What do you think? Retitle the session. So we're sitting here at the start of 2025. How are you doing in general?
Well, I'm doing well. I think I'm healthy, but more importantly, I think the county is doing very well. It certainly is continuing on an uphill trajectory. You know, we have a AA bond rating, looking for a AAA in the next, year or two, and a rainy day fund that's now probably about $350 million. So those of you who have followed Wayne County over the years know it's light years away from where we used to be.
I think there's a lot of people who know business in this room. That's heroic. What happened there from the verge of bankruptcy to steadying the ship to having, AA, hopefully AAA soon rating. I mean, that's an incredible feat that you got done. What's the one thing that made that happen? One thing.
Focus on not dreaming, but being very practical with budgeting and planning. I tend to look for the worst case scenario and then hope for it to be better, as opposed to pie in the sky, and then it not happen, and all of the dominoes go tumbling down.
There's so many issues here as the largest county in the state, so many things that you're dealing with here. Let me just go through a couple quick things here. You erased $27 million in outstanding medical debt for more than 46,000 Wayne County residents. Why and who was impacted?
Well, first of all, we partnered with a nonprofit called Undo Medical Debt. We had some ARPA dollars left, not regular budget monies, but thought about what could we do to eliminate medical debt for Wayne County residents for a couple of reasons. One is medical debt is stressful, as other things are, but it also precludes people from going to get medical attention that they really should because of the debt. And we figured we could buy significant debt at a very reduced rate, and we have been able to erase the medical debt at this point to about 47,000 Wayne County residents, and have the opportunity going forward to get almost to 300,000 if we can continue to negotiate well. But so far it's doing well, and I really love it because it just happened around Christmas, and you kind of like getting the emails from people who say, boy, did I have a wonderful Christmas,
Yeah, it's life-changing, no doubt that's life-changing. Speaking of change, I read somewhere that nobody likes change but a baby with a dirty diaper. So let's talk about some changes going on. And let's start in Washington. Donald Trump's now behind the levers as the leader of the largest county in the state. I've heard of some places who are setting aside dollars because they don't know in terms of funding and other things. Your thoughts about Donald Trump now being the leader of our country and its impact on Wayne County potentially?
Yeah, the first part is a loaded question. The reality is he's the president of the United States, and my job is to make Wayne County not suffer from whatever perceived issues there might be there. And the state legislature is now Republican, and that doesn't trouble me. I mean, I see myself as, I'm certainly a Democrat, but I think if you look at fiscal issues and many other issues, you find I'm not a diehard, and so I think we're on an upward trajectory, and it's going to take some time.
Well, you spend more time in Washington and Lansing than you did, say, the previous. I mean, you've had Democrats and leading the charge in both places.
I don't know. That kind of remains to be seen. Certainly involved with our lobbyists, both at the state and the federal level. But I just want to get my arms around the policy direction that the president has in a number of areas and see, first of all, how are they negative, if they are, how are they negatively going to affect Wayne County, and where there are synergies. Obviously, my job is to make life better for 1.8 million people, and whatever it takes to do that, I'm going to be there.
Let's talk about an issue that it seems like every time we've had this event and up at Mackinac, one of the top issues always is transit, regional transit. Talk about transit, opt-out communities. The governor signed the bill. What is going to happen to try to change minds in Wayne County and the 43 counties to get rid of that?
Yeah, we were lucky enough to get one of the few bills passed at the end of the year that will prevent any of Wayne County's 43 communities. There's 17 of them that have opted out of our current transit system. What we want is no opt-outs, but we need to devise a plan that people can support, because then the next year it'll go to a vote in the county and people will vote for transit or not. My main issue was, let's get it on the ballot. Let people decide what we should do and get rid of some of the misconceptions people have, whether it's going to be light rail and we're going to go into the hole for hundreds of millions of dollars and all. That's not what we're talking about, you know.
How easy do you think it'll be to change people's? Because there has been a stronghold of folks who don't see a reason for it. We're a community that drives. We're not like New York or other places where they already have public transit with rails and buses and stuff. Ours is a little bit different scenario.
Yeah, and surprisingly, most kids, lots of kids now, don't even want to drive. I'm amazed at the kids that work for the county that don't even have a driver's license. They don't want to drive. And the health, quite frankly, of some of our communities is going to be based on transit, whether they understand it yet or not, because the communities are aging out. The only thing that will attract people to those communities is the housing costs. But if the kids can't get from the reduced housing around the region in a reasonable sort of way, they're not going to stay there. And so, I mean, I think as much as I love Wayne County, I want the region to be successful, because that makes Wayne County more successful. And I think transit is one of the big issues that we need to deal with.
Speaking of resources, Detroit is part of Wayne County. I know in the past you've talked about Detroit getting so much attention, so much resources. Wayne County is way more than just Detroit. How do you think, as we sit here in 2025, how do you view that conversation in terms of Wayne County getting its due versus a Detroit type of thing?
I still think we are shorted on a very regular basis, and I'd love Detroit to have everything Detroit needs to have. So I don't think it's take from Detroit and give to the rest of the county, but the fact of the matter is Detroit's got 600,000 people and the county's got 1.8 million. You take the 600,000 from 1.8 million, I got 1.2 million folks that aren't getting the resources that they ought to be able to get from the state, because the state, cities maybe the 800-pound gorilla, and maybe I'm 600-pound or something. I don't know how many pounds I have. But us both in Lansing competing for dollars at each other's throats doesn't do any good for any of us. And so I'm continually advocating for those other 42 communities to be treated better and not at the expense of hurting the city of Detroit.
In terms of marketing the county, we had Bob Riney from Henry Ford was in the previous panel that was just seated here. There's so much development, healthcare and others going on in Detroit, it's in Wayne County. How much of a calling card for the region do you see that having these healthcare, these other kind of developments building up and coming to life?
Yeah, they're big, and along with that, affordable housing is big. I mean, those of you who travel around have been to Seattle and a number of other places and seen people living in tents. That's not a problem that we have here now. But it's also important that we have affordable housing for people, and not just in the city of Detroit.
Right, right. The conversation about talent needs, the talent gap, I'm going to take this down even to a more grassroots level, education. Your thoughts about education of young people in the county?
Biggest problem I think we have is education. If you take all of the school districts in Wayne County, you will find clearly none of the schools have the attendance of the students that they had before COVID. Kids are not going to school in significant numbers, and that is going to be a problem. It is not fixing itself. There are so many school districts that I don't know how their coordination is trying to deal with that problem. So that's one big part of it. The other is, and just to give an example, we have a world-class airport. Wins awards every time I look at the paper. Mm-hmm. We also don't have in Wayne County, whether it's Detroit or Wayne County, curriculum and process to help train our young people for those jobs. Nothing. I mean, we don't have flight training, we don't have flight mechanics training, we don't have any kind of curriculum that can help to feed that. And I think that's criminal. I mean, how do you keep a world-class airport if you have to keep importing people from other places?
We know we're here at the Chamber, which is, a catalyst for bringing conversations to life. Is this something the Chamber should be getting involved with? I mean, are you talking to other regional leaders, your counterparts in Macomb and Oakland and Mayor and other leaders around here, Livingston, Ingham, I mean, everybody getting together to talk about this?
Yes, yes, and yes. We are working with the city of Detroit, attempting to get, because they have a Benjamin O. Davis aviation school. It's supposed to train pilots, but they're flying drones because the airport is not conducive to the training. It's going to take money to do that. Some of that's got to be probably philanthropic, but we all need to ante up to do some things. Basically, the issue is, we need $20 or $30 million to build out the classrooms at City Airport. The Board of Education in Detroit got, $800+ million from ARPA funds. The city of Detroit got close to $1 billion from ARPA funds. We're looking for $20 million to build out the airport. It kind of tells me where the priorities are or aren't. And so it's an ongoing issue, but I think we are working with the Wayne Risa Intermediate School District on a curriculum, and we are actively working with Congress and others to fund it.
You are collectively part of what's known as the Big Four, with the county executives and the mayor. How do you feel about the region right now and how we're doing at working together and pushing things forward collectively? How are we doing?
I think we're doing very, very well, and I think a lot of it is just the chemistry of the people involved. And the voters decide that, but they can't decide the chemistry. The working relationship with Macomb County, with Oakland County, at least from my perspective in the city of Detroit, is good and has been good for years. And I think it's helping all of us get better. I mean, the city's bond rating and the city's financial status is not helped one bit if the county's broke, And so the collective working together, I think, has been very positive, and it's just these personalities work with each other, which was a little different when Brooks was alive.
A little bit.
Yeah, I mean, no, Brooks and I had a great personal relationship, but he loved to keep a fire burning.
Yeah.
And we don't have that fire right now, so I think that.
Are there any issues in particular as a group that, I don't know if you guys still get together every so often? I know Dave Coulter bragged about making dinner for y'all when you got together a couple years when he first got in there. Have you done that since? And is there any issue that you're kind of getting around as a group?
We talk to each other often enough, sometimes daily, that I don't think collectively getting together is as important as it might be if we didn't have that connectivity. But I will say this, Dave Coulter is a great cook. and anytime he invites me to his house to eat, you can count on me being there.
You'll be. So 2025, we've got a new president in the White House, the shakeup in Lansing, and you are a longtime student of politics. You've run for office, you've been at all different levels of the community, you're holding different jobs. How optimistic do you feel about our state with all that going on and how we're going to fare in 2025?
With the new administration, it's hard to really judge, but I don't have any negative thoughts. I don't see the bottom falling out of anything, really. So I think the upward trajectory should continue to go. But again, as I said before, if we don't do a better job of primary education for students statewide,
This is going to be my last question. We're winding this down. This is kind of like a tee up for the Mackinac session going up at end of May. What's, besides education, because I know that's what you were going to say, besides education, what's the one issue up on the island that should get attention? And a quick answer, why?
I don't really know what would be the most important. Economic development is still huge, but how you do it and parse it out, I think, is something that we got to get together and talk about more.
Warren Evans, I wish we had another hour and a half here to talk about things, but we don't. We're winding down on time here. I want to thank you for answering questions here. I would say your lovely audience. I didn't hear any cat calls and no applause or too much groaning when they brought up Brooks or anything like that, so thank you in the audience. Warren, thank you. Thanks to the Chamber for holding this event.
Thank you.
Ever wonder what everyone's doing on their phones? They're banking with Bank of America. They're saving, planning, and budgeting all before dessert.
Digital tools so impressive, you just can't stop banking. What would you like the power to do?